Do we think it's more acceptable to be a larger man than a larger woman? I thought I'd ask you first.
Yeah, definitely. I think women get the raw end of the deal in so many different things, and I think it does come to weight as well.
In 2017, Khloe Kardashian spoke about having body dysmorphia, and recently Khloe shared how she's always felt like the ugly sister. I'm sorry. I have very little sympathy.
Really?
Yes,
I feel sorry for her.
No, go and speak to your sister. Your sister is the reason why you feel insecure. So now you want us to feel bad for you when there's normal women every day feeling like Khloe feels. They're trying to meet these expectations that your sister and your family have put, and now you want us to feel sorry for you. No, I don't feel sorry for you.
I mean, I heard the world's tiniest violin playing when it was like, my unkissable lips. I think that it's because it's a spectrum, right? Like, if your sisters are like the pengest girls in the world, you're gonna feel less hot. Everyone's on a spectrum and everyone's gonna fall short. Even Kim's like, I'm not as hot as that new girl coming up. Like, people can't attain the best thing. Everyone's gonna feel like the ugly sister. In Little Mix, someone feels like the ugly sister. In Destiny's Child, someone felt like the ugly sister.
But remember, they're in the public eye, so their platform exposure for being, like, analysed and critiqued is huge.
Do you feel like you could be part of the problem?
Yeah, I've been asked that a lot, and I ask it myself, particularly as a dad now.
I think when you hear plastic surgeon to the stars, you think, aha, he's the guy.
Yeah. You know, nobody needs these things. They're all wants, they're not needs. Now, what's triggering that want? You know, is that want because it's something generally to you that's personal and you're adult, autonomous, can deal with the risks and the benefits and pay for yourself and fine, then that's okay. But if that's because it's driven by other people or because you're trying to fill a hole inside for something else, you're never going to be happy. And no surgeon, no doctor should be treating that patient. So sometimes when we have these discussions, I think it's because people assume all of us are on that part.
Do you ever feel guilty? You've got a son. Do you ever feel like my son is going to grow up thinking that this is how women should look?
Yeah.
So do you not ever feel bad?
The work that I do, the work that most plastic surgeons or doctors do, is complementing what you already have. I'm not trying to change you and make you look totally like someone else. I'm actually just trying to help you find that better version that you've come to me about. One big example I always talk about is our teeth, right? Our teeth were made to bite, chew, and rip. That's what they were there for. But we don't batter an eye when someone gets their kids to have braces because they want them to be straight and white. You know, the majority of brace decisions are made for cosmetic decisions. But we don't look at that. We don't judge it. We whiten our teeth. We don't go, what are you doing that for?
I guess because it's safe.
You know? Well, no, you still can go wrong. You know, again, if you don't go to appropriate dentist and you go for it and you go and take a backstreet way just like going to a surgeon and not going to a qualified, things go wrong.
I feel like on paper, society seems to be kinder. It seems like there is a plethora of opportunities despite your race or your dress size. Is this all just lip service? Are we just as fatphobic as we've always been?
Yes, definitely. And I think it's very systemic. So it's very ingrained into our society, within the media, the way that fat people are portrayed. People assume that we deserve to have unsolicited comments about our bodies because they assume, well, you've made yourself look this way, so therefore I have every entitlement to comment on your body. So for instance, I'll give you an example. So I have often, when I go to restaurants with friends, I have had people take pictures of me eating and they don't remember that their flash is on. So this has happened to me on the tube, it's happened to me in eating, at my graduation, I had people commenting on my weight. And it's the little things that specifically fat people go through on a day-to-day basis that not everybody will ever experience. So it's this kind of framing of fatness as ugly, as unattractive, as undesirable.
Stephanie, do you think skinny shaming is taken as seriously as fat shaming?
Absolutely not. It's not taken as seriously. And I think it's important to define that skinny shaming is definitely a thing. It's not invalid. I think my opinion on it is that it is not exactly the same as fat shaming because it doesn't happen on a societal or a systemic level the same way fat shaming does.
Mercy, what do you think? Because, well, have you been skinny shamed?
Yeah, by those African aunties, you know how it is. It can be as damaging, I think, as fat shaming because it leads people to hate their body. They try and do really unhealthy things to change their body. Generally speaking, I don't think we should comment on how skinny or how fat somebody happens to be.
I agree. Sophie, would you? Oh, you
Okay.
okay.
No, I think everyone's been very kind and very measured and being like, yes, skinny shaming is just as bad as fat shaming, but skinny shaming is not as bad.
I don't think it's as bad.
Skinny shaming is not as bad as fat shaming. So I'm a recovering skinny person. I used to be very, very skinny when I was when I was a teenager. I had the aunties coming to me. The aunties will get you. They were like, oh, you should eat more. Oh, why are you so skinny? You need to eat more. And I was like, okay, I got that a lot. My stepmother, who is not black, was like, oh, you should, you're skinny now, but watch you don't get that big African butt. I was like, okay. I think largely, if people see a skinny person, they don't comment on it. It's only your family that are preparing the food for you that are like, why aren't you eating? Like, you don't go to school and have people be like, there are so many girls in my school I went to an all-girls school, so many girls that were anorexic. No one chatted about it because people thought that they looked good.
Well, we seem to be focusing a lot about women, but what about men? Do we think it's more acceptable to be a larger man than a larger woman? I thought I'd ask you first.
Yeah, definitely. I think women get the raw end of the deal in so many different things, and I think it does come to weight as well. You know, I'm Nigerian, so, again, it was linked to wealth.
The bigger the belly,
the bigger belly, the money is long.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. And that's exactly what people expected.
And also, when the bigger the woman is, it's usually like a certain type of bigger woman.
Yeah.
So it's still the clinched waist,
Hourglass shape.
Exactly. It's not. And with men, they can just be out of shape and big for you're just there with your belly and your gut, and there's no you're just there. Do you know what I mean? And that will be, like you said, that's seen as wealth or you're doing well. Whereas women, it's seen as you've let yourself go. Do you get what I mean? So. I definitely think that men have it easier, particularly as the dad bod seems to be more desirable than a ripped bod. According to dating.com, 75% said they preferred a soft and rounded male body to a toned one. I love a dad bod. There's nothing better than rubbing on the belly and I love it.
The way Steph is nodding.
There's something very comforting and just very secure about, I don't know what it is, I don't know, but I'm with you.
But have you ever ran your hands down a six-pack? It's bare ripply, bro. It's just it's like, what is that? I want to be like, oh, yeah, babes, let's go. I love it. What about you, Yinka?
With my boyfriend, he's quite slim but built.
Right.
So I think that he could afford to let go a little bit. I think that, relax, it's all right, I'll cook for you. Who here loves a dad bod? Because you've been a bit quiet there, Sophie.
Yeah, I have been a bit quiet. I think dad bod, fine. I'm not going to say that if someone walked in here with rippling muscles, washboard stomach, I would be like, disgusting. I'm like, whatever you have, you've got to own it. And the people that are ripped, that are built, that are jacked, the ideal manly figure, they have terrible personalities. Time, money, effort into your
but
body.
I'll tell you what it is because when you're not good looking, you have to make it up for the personality. So that's what happens with...
Oh, believe me, I know.
Get out.
I had to build this from the ground up.
I think that's true. I think there's probably an association with really jacked, super ripped bobs with narcissism.
One of the things that I think you touched on, Steph, which is super interesting, is the categorising of the body types. Because when we say dad bod, the counter to it in heteronormative society is mum bod. And this is something that is shamed and it's seen as... You know what? It actually really irks me because dad bod, is you've just decided that you're going to eat more and you're going to do less. Whereas mum bod is somebody who has bared children and somebody who looks after their kids.
Or let themselves go.
And they're seen as letting themselves go. And I wanted to ask you, Mercy, because I know that you're a mum, that is this something that you were aware of when you became a mum or even after?
I mean, first of all, I do like dad bods, but I do think...
I love the way Mercy's like, hey, first of all, I do like dad bods, and then little cheeky grin there at the end, I'm just...
I think, women's bodies are incredible. When women have babies and they breastfeed their babies, they're up 3 times a night or whatever it is, literally producing milk that is keeping a whole human being alive after literally having pushed a human body out of themselves. And then obviously they're left with a bit of a pouch. And then what they hear is, oh, no, you need to lose your baby weight. And, oh, you're going to have saggy boobs now. And I think it is really depressing because... You never hear women's bodies after they've had children being painted as desirable. It's like a problem that you need to fix, and that's such a problem.
I've noticed that a lot of people who are overweight will use the words thick. These words that we use, I feel like it covers up the fact that there is a possibility that it is unhealthy. Like, being overweight is unhealthy, especially if we're going to go by the BMI. If you put, you're smiling because you're like, dead the BMI, which is interesting.
Let me
Because the reason why I ask this, because the BMI will say, okay, you are overweight. And within the black community, there are things like diabetes, which affects us heavily.
BMI is a very, very inaccurate form of measuring weight because the person that created BMI, who was a Belgian mathematician, himself said that it's not used for weight. It was never supposed to measure individuals' weight. It was to measure populations, and those populations were based on straight, white, athletic men. It does not take into account race, bone structure, bone mass, muscle, any of that. It doesn't take into account any of those things. Why doctors still continue to use it, I do not know. Even when the man who created it said that it was never supposed to measure individual weight, I was like, hold on, this is not right.
Do you have any comments on it, Dr.
I agree with what she was saying. It's an archaic tool. You know, when you look at many tools, actually, that sometimes used in the medical field, they really disregard other communities because they've been based on Western models.
There's loads of people that will still refer to the BMI. You've just educated me, I'm like, okay, cool, I understand that now.
And probably a lot of people who watch
But
this
still,
show.
a lot of doctors that will still use that tool.
Mad.
Yeah.